So I went over this combo before, but there's a few things I didn't mention. Oops. First off, this is a 1.5 card combo. Like, why didn't I notice that before? But yeah, 1.5 cards, which is already awesome, but what makes it even better is that it uses Dark Magician Girl. And she's actually essential to the combo. You can't do this without her. And yes, this works in both TCG and Master Duel. Some of you could probably already see where we're going with this, especially if you've seen the previous videos, but I still think this combo is worthy of getting its own video, because we're actually going to go into a little bit more detail than we did last time, and we're also going to talk about how we can make this combo more consistent. But that's for a little bit later. You start things off with Diviner, and any spell or trap. It doesn't have to be Eternal Soul, it could be anything, although I prefer it being Eternal Soul, but anyway, so summon Diviner, and then we're going to send Herald to the grave, activate Herald's effect. Then we're going to add Illusion of Chaos to our hand. And another cool thing about Diviner is, even if we don't use her for this combo, she could still be used for the Ritual Lockdown combo, but that's for later. So we're going to use IOC's effect to get Magician's Souls, then we're going to send Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard, and then special summon Dark Magician Girl. And now we have 2 level 6s on board, one of which is a tuner, which we could do a lot with. One of our options being bringing out Ultimaya, which that move on its own opens up so many possibilities for us, and all we have to do is just set a spell or trap card, which will let us special summon any level 7 or 8 dragon synchro monster, with Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon being the most popular choice, I'm sure. I mean, he gets to negate a monster effect, he gets stronger every time he negates a monster effect, and he could attack over any monster, like at least 99% of monsters. And before we talk about our other summoning options, I want to get into how we can make this combo more consistent first. So all you need is the card Small World and essentially any light spellcaster in your deck, because all we have to do is discard a dark spellcaster, and in our case, our light spellcaster is Palladium Oracle Mana, although you can also get away with also banishing Timaeus the United Dragon. So yeah, Diviner is searchable in a Dark Magician deck as long as you're playing some kind of light card, which most of us already are. So let's get back to our summoning options. And yeah, we're just gonna summon Diviner again and, you know, get the usual combo going. Gonna fast forward a bit here. This next one is actually my typical go-to, since my deck doesn't have to worry too much about monster effects, but I do need to worry about spells and traps. So the monster I go into is Void Ogre Dragon. He does have a bit of a weird effect, but I could actually make it work pretty well with my deck. Basically, he lets us negate a spell or trap once per turn, but I could actually get that done pretty easily. We can also bring out Buster Dragon, which I'm sure is a very interesting option for those of us trying to play the Buster Blader variant. I mean, apparently it did top in some tournaments, so that's pretty cool. And also, being able to bring it out this way means you don't have to rely on the trap card as much, which I know the trap card is good, but you have to wait for your opponent's turn to activate it, where this way you're able to bring it out on your own turn, which means you could use its on-board effect sooner. Another option we have is Ancient Fairy Dragon, which could work, but I don't like that there needs to be a field spell on the field in order to search for another one. I mean, I have seen people commenting on previous videos suggesting this card. I personally wouldn't use it, but you guys could probably have a really good use for it, so feel free to experiment and try it out. Another card that was recommended to me was Clearwing Synchro Dragon, which I could see its use. Being able to get 2 monster negates sounds pretty good, although I personally would still prefer Crystal Wing. But again, another one of those cards that maybe you have some better ways to use it than I could think of. Another interesting choice is Michael the Arc Lightsworn, because you could target and banish something just for the measly cost of 1,000 life points. Getting a banish sounds pretty good. Maybe still not the greatest choice, but the fact you could target any card, that includes back row, maybe makes it worth thinking about. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon is another one I think about sometimes, because whenever it or a level 5 or higher monster is special summoned to the opponent's field, you could target any special summon monster on the opponent's field and return it to the hand. This card isn't too great, but there's a reason I'm bringing it up. This Black Rose Dragon's effect can be activated with this combo, but not the effect of the original Black Rose Dragon. This is because Ultimaya special summons, but not synchro summons the monster. So cards with effects like Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, where it says if this card is synchro summoned, then that means the effect will not trigger, because we're special summoning the monster, not synchro summoning it. Some people in previous videos were suggesting monsters like this, so I just want to clarify for you guys that these kind of effects don't work with this combo. Though something else that does work with this combo is going into level 12 synchro plays. For example, Geomathemic Final Sigma. This guy is unaffected by card effects, period. It's pretty insane. That effect on a 3k body, most decks have a very hard time getting over it, so we could actually do a lot with this guy. Oh yeah, and since we could go into him without Ultimaya, that means we don't need to set a spell or trap, so that is a true one card combo. Some of our other options are also true one card combos. Mainly speaking of Exceed plays here, though the best one is probably Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. If I had a little bit more room in my extra deck, I really would be playing Beatrice, but again, maybe you guys could find a way to play it, because being able to send any card from our deck to our graveyard is a very good effect. Imagine sending Soul Servant or Magician Navigation or Dark Magician to your grave. It's just, there's so many good options. The last thing I'm going to show you guys for today is a test hand, I guess, from one of my test decks that I'm using for the Ritual variant. So the first thing we should do when we're playing this type of Dark Magician Ritual deck is use the Diviner combo if you have it in your hand and you don't need to search for either of the main combo pieces, because once we start going into the Ritual Dark Magician combo, we usually lock ourselves out of our own extra deck, so you want to get any extra deck plays out of the way first. So we're almost done setting up the Diviner combo, bringing out Dark Magician Girl, and then we're going to bring out Ultimaya. And we have Isol in our hand, so we already have what we need to set in order to trigger his effect. So we're going to set Isol, and because of the rest of our hand, I feel like Void Ogre Dragon is the better option right now, because we will be able to go handless by the time our turn's over. So we're going to activate Chalice Slime to discard IOC, special summon Candle, then search for a ritual spell, and since luckily the combo involves the Dark Magician Girl, that means our Soul Servant is live, so we can search for our Magician of Chaos, stack him top of the deck, activate Soul Servant's Graveyard effect, and then draw into him. Then we use the Ritual Spells effect, summon Magician of Chaos, and then we get to use Inception's Grave effect to special summon the other incantation from our deck, and then search for the final combo piece. And here you're probably thinking, well, you're having cards in your hand, so you can't use Ogre's Negate effect. But that's no issue, because we just have to set the spell, and then during the opponent's draw phase, we do the rest of the combo, where we activate Eternal Soul, have Magician of Chaos pop himself, then special summon Magician of Black Chaos Max, tributing that Talismandra, and now we have no hand, so our Ogre could actually negate any spell or trap, and our opponent could also not activate any monster effects for the whole turn.